Hi there, I'm doing fine. How about yourself, Chuck?
Fair to partly cloudy today. You know how it is.
Yeah. At least it's not raining.
You're in D.C.
Yeah, I'm in D.C.
I'm sorry?
I'm in D.C., yeah.
Yeah, because you're counting airplanes that are leaving every 90 seconds, I think you say.
Well, excuse me. Everybody's been so completely negative about the virus, and absolutely, this is something's going to harm a lot of people. But also, I remember after 9/11, the government and lawmakers are like, get back to business as usual, get back to work, start doing things. And so I kind of just remember that and decided to go for a walk over by the airport and snap pictures. Every 90 seconds, there's a plane taking off or landing in the nation's capital here. So all those people are living their lives and going on the best they can to continue business. And that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to look at what the U.S. Congress and the Senate can do in a situation like this. Surely flying across the country, they're going to be endangered, especially the top two Democratic presidential candidates. I believe they have multiple issues that would if they contacted the coronavirus would actually devastate them. So it's important to look at these things, and it's important to look to see how the lawmakers in this country, the legislators, are going to actually keep the government open and keep themselves safe and actually put things in bills that are only related to this coronavirus, not the Green New Deal. And if they had to stay home in their home districts and vote remotely, which they can do if they want to, all they have to do is sign a 2-sentence law saying it's okay for us to, take our votes in our home district. They don't want to do that because they'll have to be accountable to their constituents in their districts, because a lot of them don't even live there anymore. So they don't go home to South Central Los Angeles or the dodgy part of San Francisco. They don't simply go there. But this would be a way that you could look at, saves the environment because you're not flying, and also it keeps you close to your legislator.
Well, and I'll tell you, you mentioned the Green New Deal, which is associated with the whole global warming focus and everything.
Yep.
See, here they go. We got to have solar panels, or we're not going to pass your coronavirus bill. No, solar panel.
Yep.
Oh, and by the way, and let all the students get free education wiped off the books. All the money they've had to speak. What does that have to do with stopping coronavirus?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Solar panels?
It doesn't really have much to. But this is why they don't want to do this. And if it was put out there and it became a situation where the federal government, this is something essentially that Donald Trump can say, okay, we're under a national emergency, he's declared. But he could also just say, look, okay, we don't want anybody traveling around, so Congress, you're going to have to stay at home. And we know these people communicate from far away. We have skiffs. We have, closed caption meetings that take place between the White House and the Pentagon all the time. They can do the exact same thing here in Washington, D.C. These people can go on, do their votes, and it would actually be a huge daylight situation because all of these closed door meetings would now be in front of the cameras. So the people would know exactly what their representative was doing, whether it was something that was going to help them or hurt them or enrich the politician themselves. So and it's something that can be done rather quickly. Of course, you hear nothing about that.
There's so many companies that I guess probably 15 years now, maybe even longer, that have been having conference meetings. Virtual.
Yeah. Zoom is a great.
Of course, you don't have to tune in from home.
Yeah.
And you have an excellent report on that about, let's start using that. Let's do that. And I got to tell you, the kicker is when we start talking about the Supreme Court, Kimberly. My goodness, your research on that one, that surprised the heck out of me, okay? I use the word heck.
Yeah. Well, it should be. I mean, we know that, obviously, Ronald Reagan at the end of his term, he was clearly suffering from dementia, and he made it through the term. But, on the 2016 election, we saw Hillary Clinton not necessarily all the way there. And currently, we see Joe Biden not really having a clue as to what's going on. But because...
Let me ask you this. I saw a report where they
Yeah, because he can't come out because coronavirus is out there. Yeah, so, but back at the Supreme Court, I mean, they've made this such closed door operations from start to finish that we don't know what's going on. And because this is a lifetime appointment, I think the people have the right, and under the Constitution, surely they have the right to have people in there and have a CC camera at least, so America can see what these discussions are taking place. And several past justices actually had dementia, and people did not know this. We had Rehnquist, who was addicted to prescription medications. We didn't know this until it got leaked out. So we don't know what's really going on at the Supreme Court. It probably is just hunky-dory fine, but we know Ginsburg's had a lot of issues. And, is she really going in every day and doing her job? So it just, there's strong evidence that there's a lot more going on with just the flu, and we just happen to contract that. And I just think all these lawmakers going crazy right now and saying we're going to give out billions and trillions of dollars and all this stuff. Ironically, I think that the silver lining on this is we're going to have a communication system dedicated so lawmakers can stay in their districts. So lobbyists if they want to lobby, they'll have to head on out to California or Utah or wherever it is. That gets cost prohibitive for some of these people. That is the way of the future.
And face your constituents.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
It's interesting. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
I was going to say, it's interesting because normally you can turn to the Constitution on just about anything that pops up.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting when you read this report that I read from Kimberly. The framers of the Constitution, why isn't it? Kimberly, they didn't say anything about, teleprompting back and forth. What in the world was it? Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean, their high-speed technology was a horse, right?
Yeah, well, it was. Yeah, no, everything by courier. I guess Paul Revere maybe would help out speed the mail up a little bit, but other than that.
But it would be good. I mean, come on out here and face, the people that are not happy with what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Or even the people that are happy.
Exactly, because, I mean, you would be able to go to their office, and if it was full, because there were 10 people in there, presumably, you'd wait out front. These people would have signs. They'd be angry. They'd go home and tell their neighbors about it, and they'd talk to people in a small community that these lawmakers represent, and they would vote him out the next time around. There's a reason why Congress wants to stay in D.C. They want to be here so they don't have to face their constituents. Period. The end.
And if you had the cameras, no more backroom deals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, I mean, nobody wants to. Yeah, and that's where lobbyists come in, and that's where academics come in and write what they think should be done on certain bills and legislation. And, God forbid, we were under a Hillary Clinton right now. We have Green New Deal, and people would be poor, which I guess would be okay because they'd be dead of the coronavirus in the near future. It's just ludicrous. And there are some Democrats that are coming out and saying this is absolutely nonsense. We need to take care of the situation. We need to take care of it now. And I think that this grandstanding that the Democrats are doing right now is going to come back to haunt them, because President Trump, despite and probably maybe in spite of the mainstream media and the population at large here, is popular. His numbers are historically high. He's doing incredibly well with this. We talked about this last week. He's getting manufacturers to cut the red tape so they can reopen factories and make Purell like stuff that we need, or masks or ventilators and all these things that we need. He's on the job 24/7. He's actually making this stuff happen because he knows these people, and people are calling him saying, hey, I think I can help out with making some garments for the hospital. Great, do that. I mean, that's what you're seeing right now. Even though the numbers are increasing, they were expecting to increase. But we were told that probably late March, April, maybe early May is when we'll see the flattening of that curve. But for the most part, I mean, the president's doing a good job, and I give him high regards for how he's handling this situation.
Yeah, and all you have to do, I'm going to tell you, if you're a Democrat, all you have to do is step back
Yep.
Every day they've got to try to come out
Yeah.
and say something, about this.
Well, I mean, I think it's okay, but I'd like to just make one other point. And this, I did some research overnight, and I didn't get it to you. But the fact that everybody wants to go back to Obama. Well, Obama sat and was watching over 3 pandemics during his time, in which a lot of people died, and around the world, a lot more died from cholera, from MERS, and for the H1N1 virus. And you think that we would have those 3 pandemics going up through to 2009, 2012, and I think the last year was 2014 for the other one, last one there. But where was President Obama's team saying, you know what, this could be a disaster in America if this spreads. We better make sure we have a stockpile of ventilators, of masks, of anti-disinfectant, and we put that in the back corner like we do with the oil that we keep in reserves, just in case something happened. And these very same people are trying to bash the Trump administration for not dealing with this. They're having to deal with this because prior presidents, including including Bush, they didn't do anything about this. They didn't stockpile anything. I think we're going to see a reemergence of that. I think we're going to see that more moving forward. But it's just astonishing that we can see 3 of the past pandemics, and Washington, D.C., Republicans and Democrats did nothing. Obama did nothing. So that is like really...
Yeah, I think it was 18,000 killed.
Yeah.
When Obama didn't do anything with the N1H1. But see, it was the Democrat, and I'm going to tell you, Kimberly, my bottom line is, that whenever Republicans lose elections, they accept it.
Yeah.
All right? And that's the reason, that Obama got away with it. Now if it'd been twisted around the other way, whoever won the last time, they'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
If they'd been a Republican.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see that? I was going to ask you, do you see the Facebook post that I put up? I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before. I was really upset. I was reading a Washington Post story, and it was highlighting how corrupt how corrupt the Republican lawmakers are. They're terrible, terrible. And I just flipped around and went and looked up a list and listed all of the, since Reagan was in office, it listed all the Democrats and federally appointed judges by the Democrats, how all of them ended up in jail for corruption, for bribery, for stealing, for all of these issues. And I didn't hear back from the writer of the story, but I just thought it was, a joke to put that out there and say that the Republicans are the only. Certainly there are Republicans that are criminals, and we've got a few of them in jail. No doubt about it. But to make it sound like this was a predominantly Republican issue was just ludicrous.
Yeah, normally I just ignore anything from the Post and the New York Times. It's like...
I sadly subscribe because I need to keep up with certain things. They're investigative stories. They still good hard news, but they're really liberal, and they've become opinion piece, not so much a news organization. Yeah.
Now, let me tell you something. That perhaps one of the most important things in this entire report from Kimberly we haven't got to, the Supreme Court. Now, they've canceled all their sessions, right?
Yep. They have. They're not going to...
We don't know if Ruth is there or not.
No, we don't. We don't know what's going on there.
No, she's away.
Yeah, well, again, the Supreme Court does have a right to keep things in house, and certainly while they're debating the issue, because their say is usually the final say of the law of the land. A lot of times, different states will go back. Gun control is a good issue. How the Supreme Court rules for the Second Amendment, time in, time out, and then the state will come up with a different thing. So that you're not going to see those necessarily those debates. But right now, I think that the justices are concerned that if they make any decisions on any of these cases they have sitting in front of them right now, that'll be deemed political. But again, we're going through a crisis. California is on lockdown, New York's on lockdown, several states are on lockdown. Why don't we start taking care of the people's business and showing people that, they're capable of walking and chewing gum, which clearly they aren't, but we need to continue the business of the United States. The rest of the world just doesn't give up and go on. I mean, they have to work.
Got it. Okay, we're going to take our break. We'll be back. Raptor Monitor CRN with Kimberly Dvorak, Senior Foreign Policy Advisor, Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy, and talking about the Supreme Court, and they're in recess, and a lot of important things are going on, so that's going to be put on hold. But I got to tell you, on this report, when you start talking about, when you really find out what's going on with those people sitting on the Supreme Court, that was very surprising. I call that alertness.
Yeah.
Or wake-up call, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to leave that story aside because we've found some new news about where this coronavirus came from, actually, and this comes from Professor Boyle. He's over at Prince George College, and he's a retired colonel in the U.S. military, and he put out some devastating information, and that information was that that this virus has also been tested at the University of North Carolina here, and that China actually paid the college to come in and actually go through the testing of this and find out what the drug or the virus actually was capable of doing. So, I mean, first of all, why are we allowing China to come over and do this? This all happened, by the way, under the Obama administration. The Health Institute actually was funded by the Obama nation, and they actually they approved this. So this was something that went that high of a level. But I just want to kind of, take a point about this. And he writes, and he puts out this, report that just is devastating, where it says that this drug is capable, of, the respiratory viruses, and going on to the next person, jumping on to the next person, 10 times the rate of the normal food. He considered this virus way back when, under the Obama administration. He said this was nothing more than a virus that could be used for weaponization and for biological warfare. And he also goes on to state that, and I'll just read this, his press said, the Wuhan scientists took North Carolina SARS with a gain of function which already considered biological warfare. It took the technology here behind the well-designed weapon as well. It developed SARS, HIV weapon, and brought it back to Wuhan. The DNA genetically engineered it to become an even stronger biological weapon in the future. So we now know where this virus came from. It didn't come from the military doing their thing. The virus actually came from the University of North Carolina, to which other people working in that lab on this deadly virus actually worked with China. And we know China loves to pay those academic scholars and academic people at these universities great lots of money for them to do this. So in this case, it looks like when we get to the end of this virus, the investigation into what's going on at the University of North Carolina, presumably it's happening at colleges across our country, but shows you, do not do this. Do not work with foreign countries. That should just be an easy, you get up in the morning, you start walking, you don't have to remember how to walk. This is what we should be doing here. Do not work with countries that are potentially our enemies, and we know China's the number one threat, and they're winning. Look at what we're doing here. Look what we're doing just because of this virus. So it's pretty.
Universities.
Yeah.
That ring a bell?
Yep. Yeah.
First time I heard that, I thought, you're making a joke. Confucius University.
Yeah.
No.
Nope.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, listen, we are all out of time. Boy, great report today, Kimberly. Thank you very much. Look forward to our next visit.
All righty.
Kimberly Dvorak.
Thank you.